Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to co-chair the upcoming Artificial Intelligence Action Summit in Paris on the 11th of February, highlighting India's growing influence on the global stage. The visit marks a significant milestone in India's engagement with global artificial intelligence initiatives. The summit aims at establishing guiding principles for AI, focusing on ethical, democratic and environmentally sustainable use. India and France are set to make major announcements in the areas of defense, small modular reactors or SMRs, and aircraft maintenance, repair and overhaul, and also adopt a France-India roadmap on artificial intelligence in fact. Now all this during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 3-day visit to France. But let's get you a report highlighting why India in fact could lead the global AI race.
Just a few decades ago, artificial intelligence was mostly associated with science fiction books and movies. There was a paradigm shift about a decade ago when a machine could produce language or even recognize an image. These days, machines aren't just generating homework assignments, but are also being trained to drive cars and guide weapons systems. At the forefront of this technological revolution are United States, China and several European nations. It is clear that there needs to be a unified approach to ensure AI development is equitable and accessible to all. Experts are advocating for the creation of a global AI framework that leaves no nation behind. Last year, the UN General Assembly adopted a landmark resolution on artificial intelligence during which the US said that there needs to be a commitment to closing the digital gap between nations. Without a globally unified AI framework, there is also the danger of AI nationalism, a scenario in which countries prioritize their own technological advancement over shared global welfare. Rather than encouraging cross-border collaboration, there is a risk of countries developing conflicting policies and regulations. Experts suggest that a global framework would need to address key issues such as data privacy and fair access to AI technologies. A global framework's necessity can be gauged from the escalating tech tensions between the US and China. Experts are calling on the powerhouses to prioritize cooperation.
I think the United States, in order to benefit humanity, needs to abandon that zero-sum mentality of always securing its hegemonic status in every sector.
So how is AI expected to change the world? While it is safe to say that it has already changed the world, it is still early days and it is quite difficult to summarize the answer in a few words. One of the biggest concerns is whether AI would replace humans in the workplace. Kareem Lakhani, who is a professor at Harvard Business School specializing in workplace technology and AI, says that AI is not going to replace humans, but humans with AI are going to replace humans without AI. Some of the brightest minds have contrasting things to say about AI, from dubbing AI as more profound than electricity or fire, to saying that the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. It remains to be seen how in the next decade AI will transform everything, from economy to healthcare and defense. One thing is clear, the revolution is well underway. With Vishal, Vivek, Bureau Report, NDTV.
US President Donald Trump says he'll announce on Monday that the United States will in fact impose 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminium imports, including from Canada and Mexico, as well as other import duties later in the week. He's also reaffirming that he'll announce reciprocal tariffs probably Tuesday or Wednesday. That means the US would impose import duties on products in cases where another country has levied duties in turn on American goods. Now, Trump spoke to reporters on board the Air Force One as he flew from Florida to attend the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Top Trump administration officials are openly questioning the judiciary's authority, in fact, to serve as a check on executive powers as the new president's sweeping agenda faces growing pushback from the courts. Trump also weighed in saying, "We are very disappointed with the judges that would make such a ruling, but we have a long way to go." Listen in.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices, but we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back.
Just on this.
Tariffs on Monday.
On this tomorrow?
Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
What countries will those go on?
Everybody. Steel.
Including Canada, Mexico,
Yeah.
United States?
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
10%?
Then, no, 25%.
25 for aluminum.
25 for both.
For both.
US President Donald Trump has doubled down on his plan to take ownership of Gaza as he flew to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. He told reporters on board the Air Force One, and I'm quoting here, "I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we might give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it." He said Arab nations would agree to take in Palestinians after speaking with him and insisted Palestinians would leave Gaza if they had a choice, he said. That he has watched the hostages come back and that they look like Holocaust survivors. They were made in horrible condition. They were emaciated.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices, but we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished.
The Israeli military completed its withdrawal from the Netzarim corridor on a key highway in Gaza on Sunday as part of an ongoing ceasefire deal. Hamas said Israeli forces have dismantled their positions and military posts and completely withdrawn their tanks from the Netzarim corridor, allowing vehicles to pass freely in both directions. The so-called Netzarim corridor refers to a strip of land that cuts off northern Gaza from the rest of the strip. According to the ceasefire agreement, the deadline for withdrawal was the 9th of February. Here's a report.
In yet another move as part of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire, Israeli troops have withdrawn from the Netzarim corridor, a key military zone cutting off the north of the Gaza Strip from the south. Israel's deployment in the corridor cut off Gaza's northern communities, such as Gaza City, from the southern part of the territory. With IDF troops out of the 6-kilometer-long Netzarim corridor, which stretches to the Mediterranean Sea, hundreds of Palestinians in cars and on carts have begun returning to northern Gaza, to scenes of utter destruction. While the withdrawal signals that ceasefire terms are still being carried out, an extension of the truce is still unclear. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces heavy pressure from his far-right political allies to resume the war, with reports indicating that the Israeli leader is aiming to delay talks on the second phase in Doha, further threatening the completion of the first phase. Meanwhile, Israeli strikes continue to rock West Bank as the IDF expanded its operations into the region. Back home, in capital Tel Aviv, hostage families continue to protest on the street, demanding Netanyahu to extend the ceasefire beyond its current 6-week phase. While US President Donald Trump's recent remarks on the future of Gaza sparked outrage across the globe, many see Trump's return to the Oval Office the reason behind the return of hostages and are now urging the US president to help speed up the release of the remaining hostages.
We need help. It's in your hands, President Trump. We need your help. We need to bring them back and start and finish this war. We can't keep this war anymore. We have no power anymore, and we have no future just in wars. We need a way to finish it. And please do it for us.
With much of the northern Gaza left a wasteland after Israel's military campaigns, many Gazans have returned home to the south after finding their homes destroyed, while others have accepted their new fate and set up tents where their homes once stood. With weeks to go until the end of the first phase of the ceasefire, only time will tell what lies ahead for the people of Gaza. Disha Bagchi for NDTV.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has claimed that he has already had one or more phone conversations about ending Moscow's war in Ukraine with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, who Trump says wants to see people stop dying. Trump indicated that both leaders had been in fact in contact. That would mark the first officially acknowledged conversation between Putin and a US president since early 2022. The Kremlin declined to confirm or deny a US report of a phone call between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Washington and Moscow, meanwhile, have not officially confirmed any communication between the leaders since Trump took office on a pledge to swiftly end the Ukraine fighting. Trump has repeatedly said he wants to end the war and that he will meet with Putin to discuss it, though the date or the venue for such a meeting has not yet been announced. Meanwhile, in Asia, former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's party PTI has rejected the possibility of a dialogue with the government of PM Shehbaz Sharif. PTI's leader of opposition said the chapter of talks is now closed. He added that the government had in fact failed to fulfill basic commitments necessary for the resumption of negotiations. Now, amid a deadlock in talks, the PTI held a massive black tape protest across Pakistan on the 8th of February, citing alleged rigging of general elections last year. The Pakistani government has even imposed Section 144 across the Punjab province, banning all political assemblies, gatherings, sit-ins, and even rallies. One person has died and 29 others are missing after a massive landslide hit China's southwestern Sichuan province. Rescue operations are underway as after the landslides buried several houses. The disaster, triggered by heavy rainfall and geological instability, struck a village in Junlian County, forcing the evacuation of hundreds of residents. A command center, in fact, has been set up at the scene, according to a statement by the country's Emergency Management Bureau. China's President Xi Jinping has ordered an all-out rescue of those trapped. Meanwhile, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has criticized trilateral military cooperation among the United States, Japan, and South Korea for raising tensions, in fact, in the region, and has vowed countermeasures, including the further development of nuclear forces. Kim says U.S. deployment of nuclear strategic assets, war exercises, and military cooperation with Japan and South Korea were inviting military imbalance in the region and raising a grave challenge to the security environment. Namibia's founding father, Sam Nujoma, who led his country's fight for independence from South Africa at the age of 95, has passed away, in fact, at the age of 95. Nujoma had been hospitalized over the past 3 weeks, battling an illness from which he could not recover. He won the first democratic election in 1990 and over his 3 terms presided over a period of relative economic prosperity and political stability in the country. Meanwhile, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has inaugurated the 2025 edition of the Aero India at the Yelahanka Air Force Station in Bangalore today. This is Asia's biggest aerospace and defence exhibition. There are more than 900 exhibitors and with 90 countries participating. In fact, 30 defence ministers from various countries are also attending the event. Representatives of 100 original equipment manufacturers are also in attendance. Domestic defence production is expected to cross rupees 1.6 lakh crore by 25-26. Exports have already, in fact, touched rupees 30,000 crores.